Okay, so in this video, we're going to take a little closer look at the discussions part of the course. Again, here's the main entrance. We're going to click on discussions there at the top and take us into discussion. We already have some discussions set up for you. You are welcome to put more in if you want, and you can even adjust these discussions. For example, if I wanted to go into this introductions discussion, I can click the down arrow next to it and I can edit the topic. And this is what we've set up, but you're welcome to do things as you want. So we come down here and we says, for your first posting, tell us about yourself, what you hope to gain from this class, should include the following. You can change these questions that they fit your situation better. Obviously, we're talking about graduating from NICC. If you don't want that question in there, feel free to come in here and change these. And the other thing is upload a picture yourself. Where I like people to upload their picture is not necessarily here, but up in the profile. So I'm going to cancel this here for just a second here. And when you go to upload a picture, if you come to the profile, there's just a really weird icon there for most people. If you come into that profile, you can come into account settings, and you can show students how to do that. Excuse me, there, not actually settings. And again, you can look at the settings. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on there, but there's things you can change in settings that you may or may not find pertinent. But if you come up here and actually go to your profile versus account setting, this is where you can change the picture and bring a picture up. So I encourage students to do that because then it shows up in the discussion so they can see each other. But that, again, that's up to you. We set this up here for online classes to work. In a face-to-face class, that may not be critical. So I'm going to go back in there and edit this thing again. So that's where you can do some things there. Come to the settings down here. You can allow anonymous posts. So if you have a Q&A section or you want somebody to be able to post without anonymous, you can do that. The other thing you can also do is moderator must approve an individual post before it's displayed. So if you're worried about students putting some stuff in there that could be stupid, you don't want them posted, you could click on that check mark, and before it actually anybody else sees it, you have to say, yep, that's okay. One thing we keep set up in here is a user must start a thread before they can read anybody else's. So the idea is for students to exchange information with each other, but we want that information to come original thought from them, so we don't want them to see what everybody else. But if you say, no, I want them to read everybody else's and then respond to that right off the bat, you would turn that off. But as soon as they post, then all the other students will show as you look at it. If you have approval, then you have to wait for the approval. You can actually let them rate things if you want in there. You have it set as default no ratings. You can have the topic always visible, and that's how it's set right now. Or you can have it visible for a specific range and set dates in there, like we've talked about in some other modules that we've did videos on. In addition to making it so when if it's range, then once it's done, they can't ever see any postings in there. I like to keep them always visible because sometimes I want to go back and see what they posted a month ago or something. What you can do though, even if it's all visible, you can actually lock that topic after a certain date. So you don't want anybody else posting anything after this. Okay, I've done it, we've graded it, we're through that unit. Sure, they can go back and read them again, but I want it locked up so they can't post anymore. You can come in and just completely lock it manually, or you can actually lock it according to dates. Have a start date and an end date like you can do with other assignments. Right now, the default is unlocked topic. So that's there in the properties. The restrictions here is that you can attach certain restrictions there if you want. In other words, you can say, well, they have to take the quiz before they can post. You could do that set up in here. I'm not going to spend much time on that. Assessment is here, and it's graded out of 10 points. Right now, there is no grade item on this one. There should have been, but oh yeah, it's just choose a grade item, so it's not attached to a grade item here. And then objectives as we look at it. So if we wanted this actually to go into the grade book, I would just basically say new grade item and come in here, and I'd call that item discussion. And actually, we'll probably set this up so it is in the grade book as you import it, but mine was not. Discussion 1. And then in the grade book, if you want an abbreviated name when the table is showing, you could just say DSC intro, maybe. I should say discussion intro there. Apologize here for this there. Introduction. So that's how you add a grade item if you want. Down here, you determine how many points. Can they exceed that? If you want to give extra credit, you always say, well, they can exceed. If you want it just as an extra credit assignment that they don't have to do, you can put that in there. as you set up the grade item. I'll just say a NICC because I like you extra credit. They do a lot of it. And if you don't want, since you got a discussion or you want them to do it, but you really don't want it to be included in the grades, you can click on that. Then it would not be included in the grades. So you can do that with any assignments or quizzes. You can also add a rubric in here and then see when the grade item is visible. I always have it as always, but you can set dates on that too. I'll save that. Then it adds that grade item into the grade book. We can put a rubric on it, and we'll talk about rubrics in the next discussion item, and allow assessment to individual posts. I usually don't do that. You can read about that and see what that does for you if you're interested. And again, we can have objectives. So now I'm going to save and close that. So that gets those new settings in there. If I go into this next discussion, which is for Chapter 1, you notice there's a rubric on here. And if I open up and look at that rubric, students can see that rubric up front. This is the way we grade it, because from all the other discussions, they're required to make an initial posting, which is worth 7 points, and they're required to reply to students, which is worth 3 points. And we set up for a rubric for that. I'll pause this for just a minute and show you how that works on a class that's actually running. Okay, I went into one of my classes that's ongoing now, and this is Brianna. She's made a posting about a farm forward reaction, a video that she watched. I come here, I click that down arrow, and I come down to assess student. And when I do that, let me see if I can pull this around just a little bit so we can see a little bit better. She got a score of 10 out of 10 because I basically said, yeah, she made good thing there. If I didn't like that, I say, okay, here's 5 points. And down here, she didn't respond very well. I'm going to give her 1 point. And you'll notice as I change those, it changes the score up at top. Typically, that's not checked right off the bat. So make sure if you want this published to the gradebook so they can see it, that you check that. So that's how the rubric works. It's kind of something fitting there. You don't have to use rubrics, but they're kind of handy. That way it gives the student a little feedback of how things went. You save and close. In this case, you can also put in feedback here, additional feedback if you want them to read it too. So with that, I'm going to cancel that just so it doesn't save that grade. Okay, so that's really an overview of discussions. A couple other places you can come here. You can actually create a new forum or new topic. A forum, this forum is actually discussion principles of crop science. So all there. So if you want a different forum, you could do that. Have a different area. You could actually just go new topic if you want. And each one of these down here is a topic as we look at it. And I'm not going to go through that. Again, it's just like the editing, but you're starting with a blank paper. More actions you can do here is you can reorder them, you can delete them. You can actually, if you click this tab here, you can subscribe to certain ones. They notify you in subscriptions when somebody posts. It's easier just to come in and check them every once in a while. You can actually set up group discussions that are limited to 3 or 4 students, and only those 3 or 4 are involved in that. I'm not going to spend much time on that, but those things are available, and you can Google Brightspace on Google Groups or Google Brightspace on Brightspace Groups, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we work with it. So that's discussions. Hope that helped you out.